Good morning. What's up, guys? We are live and ready to get to work to kick off the week. What do you say? You guys ready to get back into the swing of it? Let's do it. You are looking at a 5-minute chart on the NQ December futures contract, and we are 25 seconds out from a close of a 5-minute bar. So, right now, we are in a scenario where I genuinely cannot do anything except look for any reason to get long, which is a lot of things that I can do, actually. So, let's get into it. Roy, how we doing? Peter, Javaz, good to see you guys. John, Outlaw, Biblical Pennies, One-Eyed Blake. What's up, guys? Good to see everybody. Good to see you guys. Let's let the rest of the regulars pour on in. And in the meantime, let's see if we can get a trade on so it's a decent show for them when they get here. All right, so that close is going to be an inside close, which, as you guys know, means that I got to give it one more bar. Let's pop around here. Let's look at the 1 minute. I don't like the 1 minute too much. 2 minute looks a little bit better. The 2 minute has me a little concerned. You know, do we start looking at this kind of thing? But we've seen a lot of that all day for the 2 minute. So right now, I think the spot to be is going to be the 5-minute chart. That makes our life the easiest. And easy is good because trading is complicated. Decision making needs to be simple, at least as possible. Skeptic Benjamin, how we doing? Peter, good to see you, brother. All right, this 5-minute bar is looking promising. As long as the bulls can hold this 5-minute bar up, I will be buying the close. You say, oh my God, you're buying the high a day? Damn right I'm buying the high a day. We'll see if we can get a decent close to allow me to do that. Brandon, good to see you. Niles, good morning. All right, 3 minutes out. By the way, how we doing this morning? I think you're probably in one of two boats. You're probably sitting, if you've already taken trades today, which I took one for a small, a little scalp. I took it off because I had to pop on here. But you're probably either huge green or you're still sitting short looking around like, how the hell did this week go so poorly already? Well, just cut that shit and look for the next better setup and move on. Don't let it ruin the day. Definitely don't let it ruin the week. 2 minutes, 13 seconds out. Let's see if we can get here as far as a close out of the bulls. I would really like to see them hold this baby up, which they're currently struggling to do. Peter up big. Good to hear it. Yeah, Brandon, it oftentimes will. Sometimes it'll form a quad top up near, 25K. I don't think about it. I only think about it as far as hunting stops or as far as an S tier level, which 25K is. It's funny, a couple of months ago we were dealing with 20K as an S tier level. This has been a hell of a melt up move in the last few months here in NQ. All right. Minute 17 out. Come on, bulls. Let's do this. Honestly, even if they close it as a bare body, that would be another excuse for me to get long, wouldn't it? So I think we're probably doing something either way here. Let's see if we can get anything but just a raw doji. Yeah, and I mean, how would I manage risk on this? Probably using this bigger signal bar. You could use this one also. Just depends how long you want to be in the trade, realistically. So we are 25 seconds out, and currently on this 5-minute chart, I am looking for any reason, it's one of those days, any excuse to get long is where I currently sit. So, though I think we may be entering a sideways trading range, which is not unlikely, this would ideally still be a good entry for me if we can close this up as a bear body. Let's see if we do. We will punch that long, and I will actually use this bull body to manage my risk, because that makes a lot of sense now that this bear body came in a little bit deeper. And I will look to suck this out and see if we can get at least one, not R, but one, you know, ATR would be great. A full ATR would be great. That would be pretty close. That wouldn't be pretty close. That might be 2/3 of our hard baked-in risk, though I don't necessarily need to let it go that far. Of course, we can take this bar by bar. Or, you know, we could choose to leave this on a little while. The trend is still there, right? So we could leave it on a little while, look to get, you know, honestly, you could say, I'm going to go for 2-to-1 on this trade, and it would not be wrong. For me, you know, 1-to-1 I think is good, considering the fact that I do think we're going to enter a sideways trading range here at some point. Let's hope it's not right now. All right. A little bit of heat here and there is all right. We'll take it bar by bar. 3 minutes, 20 seconds out here. Though if we do get 2 consecutive bear bodies, all of a sudden that is something that we have not seen the entire trading day, which starts to get kind of curious. So let's see if that's what we get here. And if it is, it'll depend on how it closes up. And if it closes up, you know, in a fashion that I could reasonably justify going short, which in a move like this, I think would take more like 3 consecutive bear bodies. But, you know, on 2 clean bear bodies, the second one, this one meaning being a bit of a larger bear body, I'd cut it early and look for the next setup. But I don't want to have to do that, because I'm in on the trend. I got an entry that I'm happy with, and I'd like to just let this thing play out. There's edge in a trade like this. As simple as the trade is, buying a bear body in you know, you could call it a tight bull trend. Now we're not in, you know, I don't know. I mean, if you look at the daily chart, some people could argue, no, we are in a trend market now. We're in a bull trend market. And I'd say, yeah, you know, I wouldn't say that you're wrong. I wouldn't say we're just in this big, brutal range market anymore. The price action, if with the exception of the last 2 trading days, has been definitely, you know, a little rangy. A lot of daily bars are kind of doji wicky. But if you compare this to August, it's certainly more of a trend market than we had in August. Definitely more of a trend market than we had in July. So, you know, I'm willing to ride it out a little bit longer. Not all day, but a little bit longer. Come on, Bulls. Keep this thing moving. ATR 16.6. All right, Bulls, time to drive this up out of this hole and put the idea of a straight up sideways range to rest, at least for a little while. At least for a little while. Let us get what we came for here. All right, 4 minutes left here on this 5-minute bar. Now, this is always one of those scenarios where you start looking at this and it's like, you don't want to rush to conclusions too much. You don't want to say, oh goodness. Bull body, bear body, smaller bull body. We're in a trading range. Yeah, we very well could be in a trading range, in which case we'll figure it out and cut it eventually. But, I mean, listen, if you were saying the same thing back here, even here a little bit maybe. So let it do its thing. Figure it out bar by bar as you go. Decide what you want to do. Again, I would prefer to leave this guy on as long as the trading range idea is not like in our face so ridiculously obvious that the trend is over. Which requires bar by bar management, which we're doing. So we are 3 minutes out here and we'll see how this bar closes up. All right, about 2 minutes out here. The 20 EMA here on the 5-minute chart is down at 24,887 currently. Our protective stop order is right above there, which is fine. I'm not going to pull this down. You know, you could justify certainly risking like this curl, but it becomes less about the risk in that point and more about, okay, if you're trading prop, does it make sense to give a single trade that much room when you could just break that single trade up into multiple trades? Because, you know, what if you risk that, now you're risking 65-ish points. Then you start to have to think, okay, well, do I want to, you know, risk going 50 points in the money? It turns around, stops me out. Even if you move the stop up, that's a lot of trailing drawdown to deal with. So you could do that, especially in a personal account. That makes a lot of sense to do. Give a trade more room, look for a bigger target, and see. Does the trend continue throughout the day? It actually gives you more breathing room. It's a great thing to do. And it requires less decision making. You can go to the store, leave it on, just leave the stop and the take profit server side, see what happens. But That makes a lot more sense than a personal account, right? Again, trading prop, you start dealing with trailing drawdown issues. And not to mention, I prefer to be a little more hands-on. Swing trader versus more of an intraday trader. I wouldn't necessarily call this a scalp, because this trade, you know, it's expected to take a little bit longer. All right, 20 seconds out here. Let's see how this bear body closes up. It's the first bear body in its own sequence. We do not have back-to-back bear bodies. So, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to take the next bar here. We'll leave this next bar and leave our stop server side. And let this thing work. All right, now, bulls. That's about enough pulling here out of the bears. Let's see if we can continue. You know, even if we do end up in a sideways trading range, this trade could still make sense, even just on a test of the high of that trading range. But let's see how deep they end up pulling it back here. Again, that 20 EMA on the 5 is kind of that next area to watch. Currently just below where my stop is at, which I'm okay with. Again, I don't want to suck my stop down and risk this whole curl. That's not the idea here. I'm not looking to put this trade on and hold it for 4 hours. All right, ATR now 15 3/4, falling a little bit within reason here, but coming down a bit. And we have 2 minutes, 20 seconds out on this 5-minute bar. Let's check out the 2-minute. I want to take a look. ATR on the 2-minute, yeah. As suspected, we're at 9.6, beneath 10 on the 2-minute here. Minute 40 out. All right, bulls. Weak all of a sudden here. All right, 48 seconds out from the close. of this 5-minute bar. Let's see how it closes up. Now again, protective stop here is just below this little poppy signal bar, which is what makes the most sense here for me. So 22 seconds, we'll see how this bar closes up, and unless it adjusts quite a bit, I'm gonna have to leave this. Finger on the trigger here, ready to cut it if we see that last second adjustment, 8 seconds out. No adjustment, so we gotta leave it. That'll close as a very, very small bare body. So I don't get an opportunity to cut it early, that's alright. We'll go next bar and see what the if the bulls can put something together. If not, protective order is out. HR just under 15, 14.9. All right, bulls, there we go. Let's keep that attitude up. Take us back for a test of new highs here, which may very well just turn into a trading range, but that's all right. If we can get a push through the high, that would be enough for us, most likely, depending on how HR looks when we get there. All right, bulls, halfway through this 5-minute bar, let's take this baby higher, give us a half-decent close. Not looking horrible here so far in this bar. 2 minutes, 20 seconds out. Well, back to very close to break even here on the trade. At least we were. Minute 23 out. Come on, bulls, put it together. What do you guys think? Am I cooked or am I good to go? Break even on the trade. That was honestly a good close out of the bulls. I like to see that. Now let's see if they can get some follow through here. If this ends up being a trading range, you know what? That's okay. The idea still stands. That was part of the idea when we went in. I guess that was part of acceptance in the idea when we entered. Never like to see that when your average price turns into a little bit of point of hesitation. But this is not the kind of trade to overmanage. Not at all. We are about, what, 20 minutes in here to the trade? So let's see if that time investment pays off here. Well, look at this. We are back to green for the first time in a damn while on this trade here. So let's see. Can the bulls give us some good follow through? I'm not willing to alter, you know, my original profit take, which is a bare minimum of a full ATR. Ideally a full R, which would be about 25 points, which would require a test of the highs here. Well, actually, maybe a slight break through the highs. Yeah. All right, bulls, keep that moving. Keep that pushing. Don't hate to see that. Lot more work to do, though. Now, you know, the longer this trade starts to take, the more I start becoming interested in that top anyway. Or what? For a bit of a stop hunting mentality. Which is great, because ideally the target, I mean, we're talking 5 points through there, which, you know, it's a little much to hit a full R, which is, you know, it's not necessarily the actual risk on the trade, because we could have managed early if we had the opportunity to do so. We never got that opportunity to do so. So we're still in the trade, of course. But with the protective stop, that's 24.5 points. So I'm looking to get about, you know, at least 25 points. ATR is below 15, 14.5. So I'm not looking to get a full ATR. I'm looking to get quite a bit better than a full ATR by getting a full R, because we were in such a strong trend. I think that's only a reasonable ask to make, which requires about a 5-point pop through, 5.25 point pop through the high of day, which, you know, is kind of a bit. 2 to 3 I'd be a little more comfortable with. So we'll see if we're, you know, able to get a test of that high, how it acts up there. But just thinking out loud. Oh, you bulls. Put it together. You know, now, of course, what we don't want to see is, I don't know, I mean, you could draw this like a wedge, realistically. What we don't want to see is this. That becomes kind of a son of a gun in a situation like this. But that's okay. Gotta let it work, see if it can do its thing. You don't love to see that. We just get a headline? Well, protective order's out. Let's see what we do, what it does here. Yeah, there's a new 5-minute bar. With volatility like that, man, I mean, that's what the protective order's for. So let's see here. Just leave it, let it do its thing. In the meantime, see, hey, did we get a headline? Yeah, nothing coming through immediately. All right, Bulls, step in, clean that up. We don't need any of that. All right, these balls getting bullied, pushed around. Looks like the Bears want to turn this into... Yeah, I mean, listen, they're testing the 20 EMA right here on the 5. It just so happens that our protective stop is now just below there. So, as we come in for a test here of the 20, even if that ends up holding, let's just see if we get wicked out. I'm not moving it. No. That's a slippery slope. Stopped doing that a long time ago. So let's see what the Bulls do here. Or if the Bears just keep bullying us in the corner. Right at 24-9, by the way. Well, Bulls trying to step in here. They're trying. Now, the real question becomes if we can make a test of this wick high. Now, this was a big volatility bar. Okay, at least comparatively speaking. Once we make a test of, like, my break-even point up to here, that becomes this question. Which, if that holds up, we get shot in the foot. Which is fine. You know, it's okay to lose, but let's just see here. You don't like to lose. Come on now, Bulls. But it is part of the game. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. If you come in expecting to never lose, you're never gonna win. All right, so far, I mean, we tested where that 20 EMA here on the 5 is sitting basically to the tick. And that came within about 3 points of our stop. Actually, exactly 3 points of our stop. So at this point, our risk management is server side. And our profit taking is still manual. But I'd prefer to see a full R. So our decision making on this trade is now very simple, which is the way that I like it. So let's just see. And now it's just a waiting game. Can the Bulls put this together in the fashion that we need them to? Or does this little descending channel hold up? In which case, we're going to get clipped out. All right. So what are we now? We're about 37 minutes into this trade, which is, you know, for context, if you are newer here, quite a bit longer than my average, though the idea from the beginning was for this to be a bit of a longer duration trade. We said that immediately, and here it is, being a bit of a longer duration trade. Of course, best case scenario is always the trade gets you in the money quickly, which it, you know, this one did, but just nowhere near enough. So here we are. Here we are. Risk management is server side. Profit taking is still manual, but we've got work to do here as bulls, man. But the bulls trying to wick us back up to break even. See if they can. And then becomes a, that's when we come into that test of this wedge and see if that becomes a thing. Okay, so ATR, which is average true range, which is the average points of each 5-minute bar based on the last 10 5-minute bars, is now creeping a bit back upside. We were beneath 15 for a second. We're now back to 16.1, which is good. We want to see ATR creeping back up as much as possible. Because if ATR starts to tank, like on the 5-minute chart, if that got down to, you know, 12, 11... 9. It starts getting kind of tough to figure out how to manage the trade if it's just not moving. Because at some point you just run out of time, and the entire intention of this trade was definitely not to hold this thing for 4 or 5 hours. But you know, the time that we've allotted thus far is all right. So let's see if we can keep that ATR coming back upside. Closer to 20 would be tremendous. All right, new 5-minute bar here. All right, Bulls, put this together. Let's not let that wedge make us all insecure, which is the #1 thought right now. That wedge, of course, being the one we previously drew right here. This has developed since the entry. So let's see if the Bulls can put that thing to rest. All right, we got 2 minutes, 50 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. Come on now, Bulls. Take this baby up through. All right, what do you guys think? Be honest. Be honest. Am I good to go or am I cooked? I'm looking, risk here is about 24.5 points. If we can get a pop through the high of day, that should give us maybe 25 points in the money. Which, with the risk of this being a sideways trading range, would be plenty. But I'm not willing to take much less than that. Come on now, Bulls. Take it up through that wedge. I think if we can get it up through that wedge, I think at that point, the probability of us being good to go goes way up. Well, we've been within 3 points of getting stopped. And here are the Bulls trying to make a test of the high end of this newer little wedge that has recently developed. So, come on, Bulls. Let's strong arm our way through that baby. Yep, there's the little bit of insecurity. All right, Bulls. Just enough strength to take us up through that little wedge. Just enough strength to do that. And then a lot changes here for us. All right, well, ATR here on the 5-minute. We were showing signs of life. It was back up to 16.1. We're now back down to 14 3/4, which is where we were previously. It would be tremendous if that ATR, by the way, if you're newer here, that ATR is the red number down at the bottom. That just tells us what the average range in points of a 5-minute bar is recently. The last 10 5-minute bars. And that is fading. If we can get that baby back up toward 20, at least the high teens, that would be best case scenario for us. Little more volatility is very helpful in getting this thing through a little wedge level that really shouldn't mean too much if the volatility were to increase a bit here. So let's go, Bulls. All that is up to you. Let's get that done. And here we are, back to break even on the trade. Oh, you bulls. All right, newer 5-minute bar here. That last one is going to close as a very, very small bull body, essentially a doji. That wedge is remaining an issue. This right here, this is the wedge that we need to see definitively break. You know, now, again, when volatility is lower, ATR 14.2, those levels are a little tougher to deal with, right? Which is why we'd love to see volatility come back in a little bit. As far as managing early, you know, I mean, do whatever you want. For me, I've been taking this bar by bar the entire time, and I have had no reason the entire trade, 52 minutes in at this point, no legitimate reason to manage early. So I like to keep my decision making simple because it makes being disciplined, for me, very easy. Okay, you start making off the cuff decisions, guess what? Now you're trading based on emotion, whether you think you are or not, because you've given yourself that leash, that extra rope. I prefer not to take it. All right, Bulls, come on now. All right, Bulls, let's take us through that little wedge stop. Here we go. This bar becomes relatively important. There you go, bulls. 3.5 minutes left here on this 5-minute bar. There you go, bulls. Keep that moving. Quite a bit more work to do here. Oh man, this volatility. It's slow, 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 and then all of a sudden, a bunch of wiggles. We have a Fed speaker making a few comments right now, but yeah, really nothing that should move things too much. Alright, bulls, regain control here. Let's take us up for a test to highs. What do you say, huh? Yeah, this is quite the battle here, back and forth. All right, bulls. Lots more work to do, but that is a half decent start. Let's keep that moving. ATR 14.6. There we go, bulls. All right, now as we come in for a test of this high, I gotta plant that guy right there, but I want to stay exposed if possible. Though, you know, to be fair, how probable is it really to get a 40-point pop out of nowhere? Not extremely. So I'm going to set this a little earlier than the actual test. Not quite there yet. Alright, bulls, come on now. Little more confidence. You're doing well for us. Keep that up. Alright, place that guy there. And here we are. As we come in for a test of that high, I want to see if we can get a little pop through with those stops. Now, I'm making about a 5.5 point ask, which is not small for a stop hunting mentality. Let's see if we can get it. Gotta see a break through those highs, though. And if we can, you know that some shorts have their stops up there, and they are sweating right now. We have switched seats with those shorts. So bulls, popping through those highs, take out those stops, and hit our target. I'm starting to get very thirsty, so I'd like to go be able to do that. So let's go, bulls. Pop us through. My cursor, of course, is the high. A pop through there should trigger some stops. Is it going to be enough to get 5.5 points? We'll find out. We did, by the way, come within 3 points of getting stopped out on this trade. And this trade has taken its time. All right, bulls, here's the test. Boom. Oh, goodness. Got to flatten the copier. Okay, now, full disclosure, I should have made, I don't know, just under 5,000 bucks on that. I ended up making like 4,100 because we got such a fast pop that a lot of the copied accounts got slightly worse fills than we should have. Okay, but we still made like 4,100 bucks, so good. Good trade. All right, let's move on. So 4 minutes left, by the way, on this bar. Honestly, that was a tremendous stop hunt. We got our 5.5 points. Sometimes, you get 2 or 3, especially in this market as of late, but that was good. Biblical made 3K. Good work. All right, let's update the trade count. That is number 1 on the day. Beauty. All right, less than 2 minutes here till the close of this bar. Okay, now in 50 seconds here, if this is a reasonable close, there's a few thought processes here. You could think, well, ATR is 16.5. This is quite a push. Do I really want to step ahead of that? This would be a reasonable area to get long if the bulls can close it up near the high. But I can't do it because I cannot sit here for another, 30 minutes without getting up and hitting the bathroom quick. So I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Just give me 1 second. All right, welcome back. I'm all topped up, and we're ready to go. So, had we been able to get long on that bar, we would have gone in the money and be sitting barely in the green at this point. So, you know, that's all right. Let's take a look here and see what we can grab as far as trade number 2 on the day, considering trade number 1 ate up a whole bunch of time, but did pay us 4,100 bucks. How you guys doing, by the way? I know a lot of you guys were sitting long. That probably helped you out, huh? Gains, I get so confused on how to trade the high of day. Man, trade it the same. Trade it the same. Think of the high of day as just another stop hunting mentality, and the longer it's been there, the more stops are going to be up there. That's it. Now, if it turns into a trading range, I got to tell you guys, this is... Maybe I haven't covered this enough, which is my fault. But you guys see these scenarios. If we're forming a trading range, and it's turning, like this was the high of day, right? And it's turning into this kind of thing. I am not a big fan of getting short on a bull body closing up here. Because if you pop through, it might pop through 12 points. And that's not, you know, that's not great. Because there's stops up here. But if we get 2 bull bars pushing up near the high and then a small bear body, the momentum is now pulling back into the range. So I'll short the bear body close, if that makes sense, and then risk the high of day. And then just let the server side stop take me out if we pop through that. Now, you know, are we risking a little bit of slippage on doing so on the stop out? Yeah, we are. Right, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. And if I am going to trade the channel at all, I prefer to either get short on a bear body after a few consecutive bull bodies, pulling back in with enough room to pull in deeper, or get long near the bottom. Either on a bear close or a bull body, because we're not at the high of day, so there's really no like big stop hunting risk down here, but there is up here, so I adjust a little bit up here. That's the way that I think about things, and that's the way that makes sense to me in practice. So hopefully that makes sense, clears some things up. Manuel, up nicely today, deep green. Love to see it. Oh, by the way, guys, Apex 80% off. We have less than 48 hours left. That ends in 1 day and 11 hours. So go hit up Apex, use code BIG. That'll give you 80% off single day pass. But doesn't last forever. So you've got less than 2 days to keep hitting that. All right. 4 minutes, 50 seconds out from the rollover of this newish 5-minute bar. A couple of inside closes on the last two. A little bit of hesitation here out of the bulls. So I think what we should do here is clean this up. Let's get rid of this little range. And then just see. Pat, up 1180. 1,100 bucks, 1,200 bucks in my 5 take profit accounts. Pat, that's awesome. Are you already past the buffer? If so, man, you can take 80% of that out and have it in the bank. All right, we're less than 3 minutes out here from the close of this 5-minute bar. Let's see if we get another entry here. Okay, time to run a flash poll. We do flash polls around here so we can remove the hindsight bias that starts taking it over. Okay, yes or no, does NQ break? Not just hit, but break, even if it's by 1 point for half a second. Do we break 25,000 today on NQ? Hit that poll. I'll leave that open for a few minutes only. $25,000 is an S tier level, so while it's only 29 points away, you know, it's not nothing. It's a big deal. It's a big deal if we can break 25 today. Especially if we break and hold, man. So, all right, let's get ready. Let's get ready. Okay, we're 20 seconds out. I'm gonna have to get the copy trader engaged. Let's see if the bulls can hold this above and give us a close above those previous 2-bar wick highs. If they can, I'm just gonna punch it using a limit, because every point counts here coming into 25,000, and we will, so I'll put a limit buyout, no fill. And we will get a fill, suck this up. risk only the signal bar. You could also risk this, you know, both make sense. I'm just going to risk the signal bar. And let's bring our take profit up there. I don't necessarily need to see, this is not necessarily a break of 25K trade. This is a continuation trade, risking less than 20 points. So a full ATR here would be tremendous. And that would be before 25K. So let's just see if the bulls can put something together for us here. Take this a bit higher. Put us deep enough in the money for this to make mathematical sense. All right, bulls. Good work. Keep that moving. Lots more work to do here. Looking to get at least a full ATR. There we go, bulls. HR 16.8. Well, I guess what we can do here, suck this in to our full ATR, a little bit better actually, target. And we can hover that guy and wait until we get a bit harder of a push so that we stay exposed to the bigger move in case we get massive news that just pushes us way up through 25. And as we get a little bit closer to 989-ish 50, we'll see if we can plant that guy, that limit sell. To increase the probability that we actually get taken out, as opposed to doing it manually in case we get a pop and a quick suck back. But I'll leave that hovering out for now. Gotta see a bit harder of a push here out of the bulls. All right, bulls, get that baby pushing. Get that moving, get that moving. Place that guy there. Come on now, bulls. Give us a nice push. And if we don't get it within reason, I will suck that back out to stay exposed for the longest duration of time possible during the trade to the bigger move. But right now, that's got to be out as we come up for a harder test upside here. There you go, bulls. Give us a push up toward 89.50. Beautiful, keep that moving. Good, good, good. Beautiful close there out of the bulls. Now, little follow through is all we need, man. It ain't over till it's over, right? Get us back up through 85. Good, keep that moving. Ain't over till it's over. So I suppose what we're doing here is sucking this back out, huh? And then getting this guy ready again. Gotta place him there. Come on, Bulls, give us a push. Give us a harder push up toward 990. Not bad, keep that moving. You gotta flip that candle from doji to bull. 2 minutes left here on this 5-minute bar. There's a little push back, flipping it bull. Bull's struggling. Gotta give it an opportunity to do its thing here. All right, so we'll suck this guy back out and bring this back in case we got to plop him down quickly. Just want to stay exposed to the bigger move as the bears try to step in case we get news. That does reflect greatly later on in the data. You guys have seen that happen. Or because we got, you know, stayed exposed to that bigger move, we got quite a bit more money out of a trade that happened to have news. Gotta place it. Gotta place it. There we go, Bulls. Take that baby through. Couple of points. All right, new 5-minute bar. ATR 15 here, so us looking for, 17 points is better than a full ATR. Which is cool with me. I'm not going to adjust it at this point in the trade. Beauty. That is take profit. Good trade. Let's move on. All right, about 4.5 minutes left here on this 5-minute bar, coming into 25. 12 points out. That's trade number 2 of the day. Beautiful trade. All right. 3 minutes, 55 seconds out here from the close. This 5-minute. Ooh, I gotta hang on. I gotta switch out an account or two here from the copier. Because we have hit payout eligibility and I don't want to go over 30%. So we will do this. All right, we're good to go. Is it NQ or MNQ you are trading? We're trading NQ with the leader account, and then I'm using NQ in a few of the followers and MNQ in quite a few of the followers. So, I'm trading like 1 mini in some of the accounts, 5 micros in others, 3 micros. This is something that I battled with months and months ago. We'd have this conversation a lot. It's like, well, does NQ and MNQ track closely enough to start mixing and trade some accounts, even if it's a lot of the accounts, MNQ, even if you're trading off the NQ chart with the leader? I've now come to the conclusion after doing this for a while that the answer is yeah, they track closely enough where it really doesn't make much of a difference at all. So that's what I'm doing. That's why here it says NQ/MNQ. Good to have you. Bo, does affordable indicators, that's the copy trader I'm using for context, show you the 30%? Or do you just have those accounts' daily profit changed in the risk manager? So Bo, in affordable indicators, I don't know if you can do that. I don't do that. What I do is I just have daily goals set and I just do the math. So I know what like my daily goal is in the 50Ks, in the 150s, in the 300Ks, and so on. And then you can just set that in. But I don't even have the daily goal set for all the accounts because I just know it now. What's my daily goal for a 50K? Well, if you're starting it from scratch, $750 to $800 is in that sweet spot. Assuming you're not trying to, break 30% right away. Now you could go bigger than that and just make up for that 30% rule break in later days and then take a max payout. You could do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's just more aggressive, right? All right. 10 seconds out here from the close of this 5-minute bar. Let's see here. That's going to close as an inside small little bear body. New bar here. Bo was just wondering if I was missing a sweet option like the auto close once an eval is funded. Yeah, Bo, if you use daily goal, and let's say you set it for a 50K account at like $700 or $800, it auto closes when your total P&L on the day is that, which is essentially like a 30% rule auto close if you just do the math and set the daily goal wherever you'd like it to be. But in the copier, you got to make sure that daily goal is set and check marked, which means it's on for that account. And it does not affect the leader or the other followers, just that one account, which is tremendous. Now, if your leader has a daily goal, it will affect everything. Hey, if you guys haven't yet, hey, man, hit like on the stream. Or dislike, baby. Does the same thing, and I appreciate you doing so. Helps out tremendously. What a nice little trend day, huh? This has been tremendous. Kind of a soft trend. This is not the most aggressive trend in the world. I mean, we had here an hour and 5 or 10 minutes of sideways action, but right back into a harder push. Made money on this push twice, which is great. All right, we're about halfway through this 5-minute bar, 2 minutes, 38 seconds out from the close. All right, less than 2 minutes out here. By the way, guys, hey, if you need daily payouts, Take Profit Trader, I think is the obvious way to go. For a lot of you guys, I get it. You're trying to bootstrap going full time. Take Profit is a tremendous option. Because once you're in a pro account, as soon as you get over that buffer, you can take payouts every day if you want and if you're making money. It's in the bank account quick. Obviously, Apex is best for making the numbers just look big, right? Because you can go to 20 accounts. That's the obvious benefit with Apex, aside from how cheap their evals are. But Take Profit Trader, man, if you need money coming in because you're trying to bootstrap going full time, go hit them up first. I think that's the way to go. And then you can always hit Apex when it's time to make the numbers look bigger. But Take Profit Trader right now, you don't pay an activation fee, and you get 40% off the rip if you use code BIG, B-I-G, which is a tremendous deal at Take Profit. All right, 25 seconds out here from the close of this 5-minute bar. Now, this is one of those situations you end up in where you're looking at it like this, and you're thinking, well, you could draw it like this, you could draw it like that. I'd probably draw it like that, to be honest with you, because we have the 20 EMA right there. But this is going to close as essentially a very small bear body, essentially as a doji anyway, which means next bar. We need more information. That's not enough. So, 4 minutes out here. Let's see what we get. You know, I'm curious for you guys. I want to see across the board. By the way, we are coming into 25K. So let's finish up that poll here. 83% yes. Get your votes in here last second. I'm going to close this guy in 30 seconds. The poll in the chat, that is, do we break 25K here on NQ today? But I'm curious, for all you guys, when you're taking payouts, Brando, by the way, I appreciate you saying that. When you're taking payouts, are you guys looking always? Are you waiting for max payout? Or when you become eligible for a payout, are you taking the money and running? Let's talk about this. I think there's a couple ways to look at this. What do you guys do? Or what would you do when you get to that if you haven't been there yet? Which is okay, by the way, that's part of it. All right, let's end that poll. 83% yes. We are hesitating up there. Let's see if we break through there. Manuel, taking the payout as soon as you can. Mason, at Take Profit Trader, you're taking daily payouts. Apex, you've taken max at 2K an account. I'm looking for, you know, I'm curious, like, what do you guys do, like, typically? SC, take the money and run. Yeah, Brandon, take the money and run. Yeah, Scott, take it and reinvest for more accounts. I think that's the way to go. Skeptic, take half and use the rest to grow the account. You know, I've done it both ways. Honestly, I think the way that makes sense if you have not taken many payouts or any payouts yet, you don't need to shoot for that max payout. I get it. You're like, okay, let me get, you know, 20 Apex fundeds, 50Ks, and let me shoot for the $40,000 max payout. That's great. But, like, no one really cares except you if you get the true 40K. What I think makes sense is, especially if you have not had money from Apex hit your bank account yet or Take Profit Trader, as soon as you're eligible, just turn that account off for the day. Request the payout that night, get one under your belt, have some money hit the bank account, recoup some costs of evals, activation fees. Because believe me, guys, once you're, I get it. Like, you're looking at your statement, you're like, holy shit. These eval costs, these activation fees, they're adding up quick. Once you get a payout or two in many accounts, you're going to run the numbers in your Google Sheets document, which hopefully you're running, or your pen and paper document keeping track of expenses and payouts. And you're going to be like, holy shit, I am profitable. It flips quick once you're taking payouts. Okay, even if you've, you know, I don't want to say like, whatever, but even if you're digging kind of a hole, it's a tale as old as time. I've had traders, you know, work with me when I was doing more one-on-one stuff, and they had dug a hole. I'm not going to throw out specific numbers, but tens of thousands, if not six figures, with no payout. And they're like, I got to make this work. And we worked with them, and we got them to stop making mistakes, or I worked with them. And all of a sudden, they're texting me, and they're like, dude, I just flipped green. I just flipped green. And I'm like, motherfucker, let's go. And that's not, you know, I'm not taking anyone on right now, but that's just, I'm just saying it's tremendous. It's tremendous. It can flip so fast if you stop making the stupid errors and keep doing what you know is right. Just, it's not about getting a little bit better. It's about removing the shit that you're doing. the bad trades, the moving of stop losses. So if you have all that to say, if you have not taken a lot of payouts or any yet, when you're eligible, take the money and run. Then you can shoot to build a buffer. But I'm telling you, it's going to wreck your psychology if you were eligible and you shoot for a giant buffer with a big max payout and you blow it. Just get some money under your belt, offset some of those expenses, if not flip yourself green, and then you can go big. You know, and how you decide to do it is up to you. If you're like, I'm going to take all 20 accounts big. If you're like, nah, I'm going to trade half my fundeds, you know, hit the payout buffer, take the money. The other half, I'm going to try to build a bigger buffer to protect my psychology. That makes sense as well. All right, 2 minutes, 50 seconds out. By the way, that last bar, big old inside close. So we're looking for anything that's not an inside close and we can make sense of. Bo, I'm a year in. Only $2,500 in the hole for all my eval software. Yeah, honestly, Bo, I get it. You know, $2,500 is a lot of money, but I've seen much bigger holes get turned around like that. Like that. I mean, in a matter of like a month. A few small payouts will relieve a ton of pressure. Yes, absolutely. All right, 2 minutes out here from the close of this 5-minute bar. Tom, once I took my first payout, then the money became real, totally changed my trading, more selective and disciplined. Yeah, listen, guys, I get it. Probably more than half of you are in the boat I'm about to explain. Almost certainly more than half of you guys. And we have a high quantity of top 1% traders here. I would say a lot more than is typical. But that being said, more than half of you guys are probably in this boat. You've never had a single dollar from trading hit your bank account. Everyone's been there, right? Everyone had to start someplace. Once it does, and you go and you pay your car note or the light bill, or you buy groceries with money, in the back of your head, you're like, I paid for this from trading. Everything changes. Psychologically, it all changes. Because you're like, holy shit, this is real. You know, you go, you pay your mortgage, you pay your rent. Things start getting a little bit bigger. It's like, okay, shit. And then you start making bigger purchases with trading dollars, and at that point, you already know. But it changes a lot of, just get to that point. Seriously, get to that point. You're going to look at things a little bit differently, and it's going to be very, very real. You're going to say, okay, I can do this. Let's just get the numbers bigger. That's all I have to do now. Get the numbers a bit bigger, and everything changes. All right, 10 seconds out here. Likely to be a big ol' inside close. All right, we'll go next bar here. Nothing on that last bar. So we are 2 trades in for the day. Two winners. Raf, good morning. How we doing? All right, 3 minutes, 50 seconds out. see if the bulls can take this up through. Where'd you learn how to read bars? Found you recently. Appreciate the discipline and clarity. Well, it doesn't have to take you this long, but I have watched for at least, because I didn't start watching every bar until a little while in. So for at least like 7 years, I've watched basically every bar of every day. Now, obviously, you know, you eat lunch, you have an appointment here and there, you go to the bathroom, whatever. But the vast majority of bars I've watched, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but I will continue to do that for the next however many decades. You know, God willing. That's what I want to do. And it took me a long time to figure out, you know, what makes logical sense if you're trading price action, especially on like a bigger trading product, a bigger security like NQ. And it was a lot of trial and error, and a lot of failure, and a lot of personal funds lost that I could not afford to lose at the time, and a lot of pain. It was a very upsetting journey. We'll put it that way. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, you know, I was hard-headed. There wasn't a lot of great resources when I was like first getting started, at least that I found or knew of. So it was a lot of trading against the trend, a lot of averaging in, a lot of not really understanding that this is a game of statistics. So everything that I say is not, I'm not just talking shit. I'm saying things. Whenever I come out with a lesson here, it's something that I fucked up in the past that cost me a lot of money. So hopefully we can save you some of that money. And then hopefully you go on to make so much money trading that you buy 10,000 accounts with code BIG, and then we all win. So there you go. Oh, pumpkin pie. So what you're saying is that me feeling bad 3 months in? Jesus. 3 months in. Call it day one. It's day one. There's nothing to feel bad about. Hey, buddy, good to see you again. Well, all right, guys, we're getting a whole lot of inside closes, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to go hit lunch. 2 trades on stream today, both pretty good trades. That first one teased us a little while, got within 3 points of stopping us out, turned around, turned into a 25-point winner. Second trade, we made $3,200, a little bit smaller, but a little bit cleaner on that second trade. So kind of light on trade count today, but as far as P&L, you know, we're sitting pretty decent. So all right, guys, I'll tell you what, hey, like the stream on the way out so that tomorrow morning when we're live, I'll see you right back here for more trade, and hopefully we get more than 2 trades, but we're sitting pretty decent in the green, so I'll take it, man. I'm going to trade the afternoon as well. We'll see if it cleans up a little bit here, but right now, a whole bunch of inside bars, so I might as well go get lunch out of the way. Come back and sit. Listen, guys, hey, be patient. Let the setup come to you. That's part of the game. A whole bunch of this job is this. A whole bunch of it. It's not all money and Lamborghinis. Wouldn't it be great if it was? All right, guys. Hey, subscribe. Have a good afternoon. I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a good one.